When Marvel Rivals launched on December 6, 2024, it only had 7 supports to the roster. Although few in number, there was a good balance between the support options that offer a variety of ways to play. They all kind of had their own unique things about them, and so they were a lot of fun. It wasn't that big of a deal. There were so few since they were pretty diverse as far as what they'd be able to do. And many people did pick up the strategist role, finding their favorite heroes, and began maining the role. However, since the launch of Marvel Rivals, there have only been 2 additional supports added, Visible Woman and Ultron. Visible Woman was a great addition to the roster. Although she's never been considered OP or top tier in the meta, she's always been a viable pick. You'll never be trolling by picking Invisible Woman. She does offer good sustain, a decent healing ult, and a new playstyle for the supports with the ability to go invisible and displace opponents by pushing or pulling them. Ultron, on the other hand, in my eyes and many others, feels like a weird addition to the roster. He doesn't offer much complexity in his kit, and although he does have some healing, it's a bit of a mix of things. He's evasive, he has some healing, but he also does quite a bit of damage compared to the other supports, but he just doesn't excel at any of these areas. Some teams will make him work by having him as a third support, because he does have a mix of everything. So he almost serves as like a utility character. So they pick him because he does a little more damage than the other support roles, but it does offer a little bit of extra healing, and then he's got like a damage ultimate that builds up pretty fast. And so teams have made him work picking him as a third support, but picking him within a team where he's the second support alongside just one other, you're not going to have enough sustain in the team to be able to heal everyone, as well as he doesn't really offer enough damage to justify just outright picking like another DPS or duelist if you really just need the damage. And because there's so few supports in the game, I think this playstyle is fine, but right now it's just a weird addition to the roster when we need more committed supports that get introduced into that role, because there's so few of them in the role right now. Because there's been so little added to the roster, the role is becoming kind of stale and frustration is growing in the community. So will the frustration of the current state of the support role be the downfall of Marvel Rivals? Let's discuss. Before I go too tinfoil hat here, I just want to come out and say, although we're kind of in a rough spot when it comes to the strategist role, I don't think this will be the actual downfall of Marvel Rivals. I think this issue will get resolved in time. It just won't be in the immediate future. Right now, Marvel Rivals is releasing a character every month, and although it'd be awesome if they just took a couple months out to release nothing but supports and strategists, it's not going to happen. The reason being is because they're on such a tight schedule, releasing a character every single month. And you got to think, they're also releasing maps and game modes and everything else, so it's not like they're just focused on characters. But they have a tight schedule, so obviously they have to make these characters. They have to get deals with Disney and figure out a schedule as far as who's going to be released when. And sometimes Disney want to take advantage of that. If they have a particular movie coming out, they want characters within that movie to try to hype up the movie. And so with that being said, I think, and even the devs have came out and just straight up said that they acknowledge that this is a problem. And although they haven't said this, I think they just cannot fix it in the immediate future. Regardless, even if they didn't try to fix the immediate future and just release characters on the monthly basis like the normal schedule, it'll get resolved eventually. It just won't be in the immediate future. But if they look at their schedule and realize like, yeah, we barely have any supports and this is going to be an issue, maybe once their schedule frees up a little bit on the back end, they can start scheduling nothing but strategists and vanguards and just leave duelists alone for a little bit, since their roster is ridiculous compared to the rest of it. There is some good news though. Since every season so far releases at least one duelist and one off duelist, being either a vanguard or a strategist. Last season we got one duelist and one tank. So that means next season, as long as that cycle keeps continuing, we'll get a duelist and then a support. I'm hoping that the support will be on the front end and get released. There's a lot of speculation that Gambit and Rogue will be the next characters to be released. And I'm also thinking this is probably what's going to happen as well, just based off of stuff I've seen. If that's the case, I just assume Gambit is going to be the duelist, and then Rogue is going to be support. So I'm hoping, my hopes are Rogue will come out the first half, and then Gambit will come out in the second half. Right now, I think most supports fall under one of three categories. They're either just a straight up heal bot producing the most healing in the strategist roster. There's also supports that do kind of a hybrid of damage. So they still do a decent amount of healing, but they also can put out decent amount of damage numbers when played correctly. So they'll either not heal as much or they heal more infrequently. Good examples of this are Mantis and Adam. Both of them are great examples of what that could look like. There's also supports that do a decent amount of healing just like the others, because they all need, you know, a good amount of healing, but they also offer some utility. Rocket offers utility in his revive beacon and bringing people back. Loki has the ability to steal other ultimates, although most of the time Loki is usually stealing other support ultimates and outputting more heals. He does have the ability to steal other ultimates besides strategists. So if you have a Moon Knight on your team, and enemy team has a Groot, you can steal the Groot ultimate and line up some kills with Moon Knight. There's plenty of other options Loki has, but I would like this to be expanded upon more. I think these categories are fine when done correctly, but it'd be cool to offer other supports with some more utility type of playstyles. I thought Daredevil seeing through walls and short distance would be great for a support. Imagine a support that has like either they constantly see it or it's on cooldown and they can ping it like, hey, Black Panther's nearby and on the flank, and that way it helps them out against some frustrating characters that mess with the backline a lot. Or you give somebody like a jump pad and they can allow allies on the map to get to high grounds. So if you have a Moon Knight turning up the team and you only have like one or two people that even have the ability to be able to contest them on the high ground, they could drop a jump pad and everybody gets to the high ground. And so I think these are just a couple examples, whether they're good or bad, but I think some more utility within the support roster would be really cool. They still obviously need to do some heals in a good amount, but it'd be cool to have these characters have more utility kits and offer some unique and fun playstyles. Although I don't think Ultron was a good addition to the roster, I think he's still salvageable, and it would only take like a mini rework to make him be able to be a good support to the roster. I think he could still keep his identity as being a hybrid DPS and support, because it does offer a unique playstyle. I think his movement with his shift key is fine, and so is his ability to be able to shield himself with Z. It's also great that he's flying around, because it does offer a variety as far as how to play supports. However, Ultron's healing is where I would do the adjustments, because it's not very interactive and doesn't do a lot. And I think that healing, as far as not being able to do a lot, is fine if he's putting out some decent damage output. I just think in his current state, it's not done very well. So what I would do is, instead of Ultron putting a healing drone on an ally, I would just take a page straight out of Overwatch and then allow him to tether to an ally instead. This tether would generate a healing effect around that ally, plus the ally would also be able to be healed, except for instead of giving more heals to the ally you're tethered to, I would give a damage reduction based off the health bar of the character. So, and it's based off their maximum HP. So if he tethers to a support, it would offer less damage reduction as if he were tethered to like a Groot. The tether itself would break if you go too far away from the ally, or if the line of sight is broken, and then it would go on cooldown. A third option as far as breaking the tether, Ultron can press that button again and manually break the tether. And why you would do this is because it would give a burst of healing to that ally and everyone else around them. Almost like an Adam Warlock when he presses E and he does a burst heal. I do the exact same thing with Ultron's tether. If you do this, it will still go on cooldown. I would not make the cooldown very long. I'd make it anywhere between 5 to 6 seconds. Why I would do that, as far as not make it long, is because I would want to encourage Ultron, because he is a DPS character. Ultron needs to be in the forefront of the fight and also participate. And not saying he has to be in front of the tanks by any means, but he needs to be near the action. He can't sit way in the back and be shooting and offering, you know, this tether effect. I would encourage him to play more up front. It'd be more skill expressive. It'd be more engaging in combat. And the tether itself, it doesn't have to be very short. I don't want it very long either, where he's flying like way above the map and be able to put his tether on like a group. I also want to disencourage it to be played on certain tanks like Venom or Winter Soldier, because they're constantly moving around and zipping around the map. I think giving them damage reduction would be a bad thing. Also would not want to put it on certain flyers that are getting abused in the meta. Human Torch is not as prevalent since he received his nerfs, but Ultron was pocketing him previously in the higher elos and causing issues. And so having the tether have a link to it, as well as based off of the health pool of the ally, would allow him to kind of be, it would adjust his playstyle accordingly to not cause issues in the meta as stuff evolves. So it encouraged him to be in the forefront and make him almost like a guerrilla warfighter. So he'd be in the front, he tethers, people ideally be aiming at him because of he's tethering a tank and he's near the front so you can shoot him. And basically when Ultron gets in danger, he will unhook his tether, causing the burst of healing, or if he makes a mistake and walks in between a pillar between him and his tank to go for cover, then he just loses the ability. And so he just needs to be playing defensively until that short cooldown of 5 to 6 seconds, and then he can go back in and be able to tether again. I think this will be very skill expressive, very risk versus reward. So like low elo players or people that just don't know anything about positioning probably won't be able to use them as well. But if you got better at your positioning and be able to get in and out effectively using Ultron's little evasive abilities, then you'd be able to use them well. I think he would become meta. I don't think he'd become OP because of certain things you're doing as far as the distance, the line of sight, the damage reductions based off the health pool, and then encouraging to play on the front lines. I think this would be a way to rework him, make him relevant, have a unique play style as support, while having these like barriers or the stuff in his kit to make it where I don't think there'd be a way that he'd just become OP in the meta. Not unless you gave him like crazy numbers. And it also encouraged him to be a DPS support. He can still play behind his tanks, obviously, but he has to be near the action. He can't be way above the skylines like he can now and be placing drones on people and just not be anywhere near the action. Also, the line of sight is very important because you don't want him in a building beside the tank and then not fighting at all, and he's got this tether and doing damage reduction and healing people. And so you need the line of sight factor, and you also need a distance factor, so he's not putting on divers such as like Venom or Cap. And I guess if he wants to put it on them and like dive with them, he can, but just be more dangerous for him. Those are my thoughts on Ultron. You guys have to let me know what you think. Do you think the tether would be a good idea, or is it too much like Overwatch and we don't want it to be, you know, exactly like Overwatch? I think there's some variety here as far as not being exactly like Mercy from Overwatch. But just, you know, this idea. Also think too, his ultimate, maybe I'm incorrect, his ultimate does heal, but if his ultimate doesn't heal currently, I would also make it where you could either target and shoot opponents and do a good amount of damage, or you can turn and shoot your allies and be able to heal them a good amount. I also think, I'm not sure if that's not currently his kit, I don't know why, I don't think it's part of his kit, but I think Ultron healing with his ultimate, give him some healing. You can even make the damage output a lot more than what the healing output would be if you want to encourage him to be a DPS support. That's fine, but I still think he should have the ability to heal some while he's ulting. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is a new channel, hoping to grow. So rather than me asking you to hit that like button and subscribe and comment, all the other stuff, all I want you to do is to like the video and just let the YouTube algorithm be like, hey, check out this channel. That means a lot to me if you just simply hit the like button, let them know what's going on, and let them know this channel is alive and doing something. I appreciate it. I'll try to upload pretty regularly and just my thoughts and different discussions and Marvel Rivals, and appreciate you watching to the end.